Hello, Jamie here, just diving in before this episode. If you're here every week and you want to support the show, then check out our Patreon. You get ad-free feed, you get weekly green room after shows and Q&A episodes where your questions help shape the conversation. There's a few different layers depending on how much you love it, but the link's in the show notes. Have a look. Enjoy the show. Welcome to NeedleXChange, the stories behind the stitches. My name's Jamie Chalmers, aka Mr. X Stitch, and in this episode I am interviewing Helen Adams, aka the Textile Curator. Helen is a peer of mine. She's been shining a light on contemporary textile art via her blog since 2014, and she and I are very like-minded. She has got fantastic taste in textile art, if I say so myself, and her latest book, Textile Fine Art, is a must-have for the serious art fan. And to be honest, for anybody, brilliant book. But I digress. This is the second part of our NeedleXChange, and we find out how Helen became a textile curator, working in magazines, studying textiles, and how adventures on different parts of the world brought her back to the UK, where her love for textile art was reborn. Sarah Impey has a lot to answer for. We talk about what it's like having a niche website, how you wrangle in the world of algorithms and SEO. I talk quite a bit about my experiences at the moment, so if you want to find out what I'm up to, that's quite a good little shout. And obviously we dive into Helen's cultural touch points as well. As I said, Helen is a legend. She's a fantastic curator. She's a fantastic advocate for embroidery and for textile art. And it was a real pleasure having her on the show. I'm sure this won't be the last time I talk to her. I'll be back next week with somebody else from the world of Stitch. But until then, enjoy the show. How did you come to become the person that you are? You started the blog, but I'm interested in what happened prior to that, how it came to pass.
So I always loved fashion as a kid, and then I wanted to work on magazines. So A-level, I was either going to go down the English route or the textile route, and I went down textile. So I did construct a textile degree, specialising in tapestry weaving. And I was living in London in the 90s, and it was just too quiet for me. I didn't just want to go and weave. So I worked on magazines in London, and then my husband's from Cornwall, and he was like, let's go and have an adventure. Let's move to Sydney. So I was like, okay, we'll go for 2 years, and then if we don't like it, we'll come home. So we moved to Sydney, stayed for 7, really liked it. And then his work said, we need help setting up in Asia. So we were like, okay, let's go on an adventure for 2 years. Moved to Malaysia. And then when I was living there, I realized I'd been in 3 different continents, but you never really see textile art. You really had to go and find it. And like I said earlier, you go to museums and there's photography and sculpture, but there wasn't any textile art. And I came home and I went to the Lane Art Gallery in Newcastle, and I saw this amazing quilt by Sarah Impey. And I was like, I forgot how much I like textile art. And it said her work's in the private collection of the V&A. And I was like, that's so cool, it's in the V&A. But then I was like, but why isn't this work in other galleries? So I thought, right, I'm going to start a website to try and wake up the world to contemporary textile art. So I just set off this website and then interviewed people practically in the dark for ages, because, some people found it, but hardly anyone. I was on Instagram, did it all wrong, didn't know about hashtags and things like that. But I don't know, something just kept me going, because there's so many amazing textile artists. And I kind of wanted to help them out and get visibility for them and stuff like that. And so I just kept going, and then did my book, and here we are now.
Here we are now. It's just like that, isn't it? When did you start the site? Did you say it was
2014. I've been doing it for quite a while.
It's not bad, is it? It's bonkers when that happens as well, isn't it? Because I think, I started something like 29th of August 2008 was when I wrote my first blog post on Mr. X Stitch. So that's daft, because that's like 18 years ago.
You were very inspiring at the time, because I saw your blog and then I bought a book and you'd done a piece in it. You'd done My Other Bags of Mulberry. Yeah. It wasn't it? No. Mr. When you were an artist, because you started as a cross-stitch artist, didn't you?
It was sort of, yeah. I didn't do that. That sounds pretty cool. What would I have done? I was in a book called Hoopla, I think it was, which is by Leanne Prain. There were a couple of things. I think because I had a little bit of novelty and I was just doing things that were a little bit rude, maybe, or something.
Yeah, I definitely saw your work in a book. It's published by Virgin Media, and it was this girl who'd got together lots of different crafts and things.
Right. Oh,
yeah, I will help.
That was Perry Lewis's thing or something. Yeah, I mean, it's nice. I mean, I just got a bit lucky, I think, just being that novelty at the right sort of time with the emergence of things, and just managed to get in a little bit of a flurry. But I got inspired by someone called Nubby Twiglet, who had a really interesting design aesthetic, and she would just do stuff to do with typo. I think it's like back when blogging was kind of cool, wasn't it? And you'd have like blog readers, and you'd just be like, "Oh, I'm really enjoying this," because social media hadn't really happened or whatever. It's kind of. I also got I got really inspired by awkward family photos. I don't know whether you would remember that blog. Basically, it was like a just collection of awkward family photos. But I thought it was hilarious. And I think that was one of the things that made me decide to do sort of weird things, like come out with the idea of stitchgasms and just have things that we did not say for work. Like there was a really sweet spot, because it was a really sweet spot, but I had like Luke Haynes was doing a quilt column and Zoe Williams was doing a needle felting column and all that. And they were all doing it pro bono as well. I've got no idea how I managed to blag that at all. And I wasn't making any money out of it. How do you make money out of it?
I don't.
Still wondering now.
It's definitely a hobby. Well, no, it's a profession that doesn't pay anything. But anyway,
no, I think so. I think my wife was quite adamant about that. She was like, "Look, it's not making any money, so it is a hobby." But I'm like, "But I'm trying to do it for a living." She's like, "Yeah, but it's not making any money, so it's still a hobby."
But surely it will, and it comes from good intentions. And yeah, and I just can't stop. I'm slightly addicted with it. Whenever you see an artist, you're like, "Oh, that's amazing! Wow, look at that!"
Yeah,
more people 100%. Need to know about you.
Yeah, but that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing that keeps you going, is just because you're never going to run out of people to see. And like I say, I loved your book because your book's got about, I don't know, 25 people that weren't on my radar before. And it's just, and then you see another one, don't you? And then just there's somebody in a random little part of the Instagram who's doing something that's just completely charming, but it's in neon or something. And you're just like,
yeah.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
And what's amazing as well is people are really famous in their own countries, but we haven't heard of them. And it's just nice to dip into that as well.
Yeah. How did you ever think about having an artistic practice yourself based on the fact that you kind of studied it and everything?
I did try when I moved back to the UK. I bought myself a loom and I started weaving. It's just so slow. And then I really enjoy it, but you need a good few hours to get in the headspace. And then I'm too busy thinking, oh, that's a good artist. Let's check out Instagram. Let's put them on there. Shall I do a gallery? Let's get myself out there. Let's talk to you. Yeah. So I would like to get back into it, but not now.
But don't you find, I find like, I don't know, I've got an artistic idea which occurred to me in between my old dog being put down. So that was in March 2024, and us getting Astro as a puppy in July 2024. For that bit there, I had the bandwidth. And I had an idea, and I still like the idea, and I might try and execute the idea, but then the bandwidth goes. But then also, like I've said it plenty of times, there's a guy called Tom Katsumi, who's an absolutely fantastic cross-stitch artist. In fact, like that's one of his designs, like David Bowie, but it's just CMYK.
Yeah.
Clever sod, right? And I did a piece ages ago that was called Killers, and it was just RGB, and I just did it because I was like, I'm sure there's something about combining those colours. And then, I don't know, a few years later, I was doing an issue of the magazine, and Tom has this thing where he's done a picture of Marilyn Monroe in RGB, absolutely smashes the ball out of the park with that. I was just like, right, that's that idea done or whatever. This is the problem I find, is you see so many people and there are so many good ideas that it's rare that you can have an idea that you haven't sort of seen before, because we see so much of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like the Rick Rubin book, though. Have you read it, The Creative Act? So there's like ideas all around, and you've got to take that idea when it comes, because otherwise someone else will do it. So
yeah. But have you seen people, like we were saying with like Erin being a perfect example of about as good a weaver as you can think of, whatever. Have you seen people that have genuinely, you've gone, oh, I think might have had that idea in another universe or something?
It's like that whole thing. Everyone can have the idea, but it's the person who actually does the idea, isn't it, that gets there. But you've got to stop looking at Instagram and thinking, oh, it's been done. I think you've just got to do it, because everyone puts their own take on something, doesn't it? Otherwise, you'll just get petrified and won't do anything. You'll be like, oh, I can't do it that good, or what's the point? And the thing with text, it's the process that's the draw of doing it as well, isn't it? Getting in that flow state and just losing time and getting in, that's part of the appeal of it all. So it's not just the end goal. Try not to think about the end goal, just think about doing it.
Yeah. And I think textiles has got the inherent slowness, which you might get with other things as well. Like, I don't know, carving, woodcarving. I don't know. There's a lot of art that's quite immediate to produce, isn't there? Paintings and whatnot. And that's not to disenfranchise them or whatever, but there is this inherent slowness in textiles, which I think gives it another layer. Do you find there's sort of a fundamental inner peace with a lot of the people you talk to?
But it's that's another reason I wanted to do Textile Curator, because it didn't seem fair that painting got a lot more money for the artist than textile does, because textiles obviously often takes a lot longer, and it's financially viewed differently, and I think it should be on a par. So that's another little reason I did it.
And were you easily at peace with the idea of being a curator?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, it's brilliant. I love it. Yeah, and doing the book, because I love writing. I think that's the thing. I'm always drawn between writing and curating, and so it's a perfect match.
Yeah. I don't know what I thought. I'm pretty sure I know that I'm not an artist because I don't put in the reps to do it. And I think I'm reasonable at design, but I think becoming a curator is just that. It's a bit like having a podcast about something. Do you know what I mean? You're not the person, or to me, I always talk about it being like being a compere of an event rather than being the act in the event or something. It's that kind of like standing and presenting people. I feel like it takes a certain character to do that.
Yeah, and you have to devote your whole being to art, don't you? If that's your thing, that's all you do every day, and live around that. Whereas I prefer bigger pictures and talking to people and socializing and meeting people, different characters, putting things together.
Do you, in the people that you've met, do you get those people? I always talk about Audrey Montoya as a case in point here. The people who have to make the art they're making because it seems as though there's nothing else in the world that they would be able to do. Like the nature of their work. Audrey Montoya, I don't know if you know, she does like the needle felting, but it will be like a sad slice of pizza, or the cheese sandwich of despair, and she has these big eyes in them, and they're very sort of characterful, and they're very mournful, and they're sort of surreal, and it's like that's her thing. That was what she was meant to do the whole way through.
Yeah, and well, some artists use it for a form of therapy, really, and work through their thoughts and things like that. So there are people who it sort of helps them be them, isn't it?
Are there people that you've interviewed on the site where you wish you could have got them in the book, or you wish you could have gone and hung out with them and had a cup of tea, but they live on the other side of the world?
You must find this on your podcast. You think, oh my gosh, let's just go for coffee and cake.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Or a glass of wine or something.
It's also quite weird as well, particularly because I've had talking to Danielle Clough, fiance Knowles, or I talked to Stephanie Kelly Clark, and they're people that I've kind of admired since like 2011. So then it's quite fun to finally talk to them 14 years down the line and just be like, when we first met, neither of us had children, and now look at us all, whatever, like old friends you've literally never met before. Yeah,
no, it's great. You feel like you know them, but you don't, and because you've been following their work and how their work progresses, and it's great.
So you still do your blog?
Yes. Because you still do yours. What do you think about the social media blog thing? Is it?
So I was talking to Selena, who helps me with Instagram, and I think we might have done like one blog post last year, because it feels in a way like blogging, just people aren't consuming it in the same way. And unless you port out the information to the social media channels where people are paying attention, I don't know. I haven't really... And I don't pay a lot of attention to it in some ways, but I don't check my analytics to see if people are still looking at the blog or not. I kind of feel like it's a bit of a legacy thing now, where almost like having a database of people. I've got like 2,000, 2,500 blog posts or whatever. So I did go through and do some pruning. At one point I had like 4,000 blog posts, but some of them would be like 2 sentences long with a picture. And then you learn, don't you, that Google's going to go, no, that doesn't seem right. You get a bounce rate off of that, and then they just sort of penalize you for it. So all of that sort of stuff. But it's weird. I feel like I've evolved away from it, and I still can't quite decide if there's value in going back. Every now and again I feel guilty, and I think I need to go back, look at the blog, try and give it some TLC, try and polish up some of the posts and stuff like that. But I can't work out if it's worth it or not.
I think for artists, it's definitely worth it, because when I was doing the book, if you're researching things, you can only get so far on social media. So if you're a collector or a curator and you're doing something, I think artists themselves need a website, because everyone uses Google still, don't they? And that gives them more of a platform to show their new work and really explain, dig down into like their statement and things like that. So I think there is definitely a place for it, even though you don't think people might be reading it or engaging with it. You only need a certain amount of people to look at it and things move forward. So I definitely think it's worth doing. It's just how much of your time you want to devote to it.
Yeah. And I find for me, that's where doing podcasts, I feel like that's my best version of this. Because I used to do a podcast in 2011 that was called Stitching and Junk. And I used to do it with Bridget, who is the person who used to help me with the blog back then. And so it's almost like putting some of the reps then, and then I've also done the Lovecraft show. But for me, like, I feel like talking to people about the stuff is the most efficient way of me doing the thing. And in a way, I wish I could transcribe it out and turn it into a blog post or something, which I probably could with AI, but that feels like a bit of a cheat in some ways. But I feel like, to me, this is my best fit now. Yeah, the blog is, I don't know. I don't feel guilty about it, but it does feel a bit like I've just got this, I don't know. Like my guinea pig that we've got downstairs, where you're like, oh yeah, I've got the responsibility to have the guinea pig when everything else is really busy. So you still actively blogging?
Oh, every Monday. Yeah, Inspiration Monday. Yes. Because that's where I put the artists on. So artists can come to me and then I interview them, put them on the site every Monday. I sort of introduce introduce an artist. So,
how many posts have you got on your site, would you say?
Well, actually, for my book, because I did it all myself originally. I bought the package and then I did it all myself. And then after 10 years, I was like, I think we need a professional. So I got it professionally done. And I've got a nice new shiny website as of last August, I think it was.
Right.
So I'm down to about 40 artists. I was on about 220, but I've limited it down because I think with textiles as well, some of the artists had moved on or some weren't doing it anymore. And there is now a small fee to be featured because I was like, I just can't keep doing everything for nothing. So that covers the price of the hosting and things like that.
You never put like an ad layer in it or anything?
I'd like to, but it's finding ads who want to be in it because we're sort of in this niche market, aren't we? It's like sewing machines and yarn and...
Yeah, and I went down the route of having like an automated, this thing called Ezoic, where it was just my like automated ads and it puts the adverts in the right place. But sometimes that would backfire because you might have like those blogs that you get where there are just adverts all the way through it. And that stuff kind of sucks. And now I think I've tried to pull away from that again because it was just a bad user experience. But when you look at blogging as a source of income, it feels like those are some of the games you have to play because otherwise there isn't any income. Yeah,
I just wanted, I'd love a sponsor or something like that, but it would have to relate to the theme. It couldn't just be like a luxury car or something.
Have you got a day job?
I just do writing now. Oh, and I've got a few things, but not a 9 to 5.
Right. Yeah.
That's another reason I threw myself into this because I worked on magazines, obviously in London and Sydney. I didn't have the visa to work in Asia. So when we came back here, I was like, yay, I'll work on my interiors magazines again. But that's all really changed. So, right, I'm going to do something myself. Oh, I did work as a content writer as well on a beautiful homeware company and that closed down. So, yeah, I think the universe is pushing me into textiles.
You have to, don't you? You have to go, well, this is where I'm at. This is what's still going.
I keep doing other things and it's like, no, textiles.
Because I think the thing that struck me is, just trying to go how... I was always envious. I envy of two websites, like textileartists.org.
Yeah.
Those guys have always done a really good job. They came out much later, probably later than you as well, I guess.
No, it was before because I looked at yours and I looked at theirs.
Right, and you went, oh, that's how you do it properly.
Yeah. Well, no, because one of them's in computers, so that's why it's so amazing.
Yeah. Do you know the other thing? Because I think Joe Pitcher, who's one of them, they're two brothers, and then their mum Sue Stone, isn't it? Which is how they got started or whatever. And I think something like Joe Pitcher, he was involved in like Wicked for Good or something. He's like something to do with, or it's something, or no. Went to see Matilda, the musical, at the RSC. We went to see it in Liverpool. It's absolutely brilliant. Best thing I've seen in the theatre for a long time. And he was involved in that.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I know that guy, sort of. But they always did a really good job. I think they just ended up with like a product and a mailing list fairly early on and were quite successful in that respect. And I remember watching them going, But then I also got envy from Colossal, like thisiscolossal.com, which is just a fantastic art website.
Yeah, next level. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would always sit there and just be like, how do you do that?
I know. We're independent though, Jeremy. I was thinking about this the other day because there's a couple of really good textile sites, but they like do their courses now and they won't necessarily feature artists who aren't on the courses or they're all about the courses. So
yeah,
they're very independent in that respect.
It's funny. It's a bit like, so I got into email marketing quite heavily. We can nerd out about that if you want. But there was a podcast I really liked called the Email Marketing Show. And there's also a podcast I really liked that was to do with podcasts. But you know, when they do something like, so if you're making a course, if you're a course leader and you find a lot of their content's to do with doing a course, and then you're like, why is that? And they go, oh, and then it just turns out we've got a course. And you just go, oh, hang on. So you're sort of blogging about your own content, sort of. It's like there's not as much of it. If you, this guy who did podcasts, he was just like, you know, if you're looking for coaching clients and this is how to set up a successful podcast that will attract coaching clients. And he's like, by the way, I can also offer coaching. And you're like, So I suppose there is a little bit of that. You and I have still got the freedom to just interview whoever the hell we like, sort of, haven't we?
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to think of the different ways I try to make money. I've tried to make money with the ads, and then you end up playing the SEO game. Do you play the SEO game, Matt?
Yeah. I actually did a course as well on that. Yeah. Yeah. And marketing and all that stuff.
How'd that work out?
Yeah, I know what to do. I think it's hard when you're a team of one. Because are you a team of one? I'm
a team of one and a bit. Like, I pay Selena, and basically Selena takes care of my Instagram. So I love it these days because people are like, they go, I love your work. I go, I don't think you do, but thanks. You appreciate my work, but it's not the work you're appreciating. But also with Instagram, like, Selena's just such a good curator. She does a lot of that stuff now because I'm just too darn busy doing all this other stuff. And that's why the blog doesn't get done, I think, just because, like you say, team of one and a bit. A team of one, it's like you can't keep up.
Yeah. I was going to start doing mentoring. So artists, because I find artists, it's hard for them to go from making it themselves to getting it out there. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do a bit of one-on-one. That was an idea.
I think that's cool. I had that idea as well, and put an advert on the front of this podcast at some point last year and got zero interest, and has subsequently shelved it on account of being too busy. But I was struck when I spoke to Danielle Clough. She had a mentor, and I was just like, yeah, it feels like you'd be brilliant at it, because it's just that thing of you've seen enough people, you've spoken to enough people that you know the steps people are making, and just kind of supporting them on that.
Yeah, and putting together plans and things and having personal deadlines and
bit of accountability.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think the SEO thing, I remember that was great because, well, I don't know if you did this. We certainly tried to do this of going, right, let's answer a question. How do you do so-and-so and such? Because people search for that on the internet, and therefore if your rankings go up, you get more traffic. And if you've got an adverts layer, that works on the money. I think the most I ever made was about £100 a month out of adverts on the website. And so I gave people a really pants user experience for hardly any money. But then it changes, doesn't it? Then an algorithm changes, or Google did this thing called the helpful content update, and suddenly that wiped out. There were so many people because I was quite interested in like niche websites as well. I had one to do with hedge trimming for a little while that actually made a little bit of money and then just got destroyed by a Google change or something.
I think, again, that's why I did the book. So you're sort of away from that independently, because we are very reliant on it, aren't we? I try not to worry about it. I mean, these big companies have people who deal with stuff like that all the time, won't they? Oh, the algorithms change. Let's update your SEOs, blah, blah, blah. So we just do the best we can.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think there's pragmatism that says, you know what, I'm just going to write an article about an artist I like and interview them and do them justice. Same with the podcast. Do I make any money at the podcast? I haven't made any money at the podcast in like a year, I don't think. But I'll still just do it because I like it. And like you say, it's just doing people justice.
Yeah, and some artists have got galleries from being on it. And actually, we sold someone's work the other day. That was out of the blue. That was nice, to a property person, architect. So things do happen, just hopefully.
And then what about social media? How does that work out for you?
Oh, yeah, it's all the algorithms, isn't it? I just love it, though. You get a nice little tribe, don't you? You feel like you actually make some really good connections and friends. And yeah, it's good. And then I've actually met some of the artists, and yeah. It's just nice because you'll know the same. Some people don't understand. Well, they're not into it at all, are they? Textiles and cross stitch and stuff. So when you meet someone and it's like your little tribe, it's wonderful to be able to talk about it.
Yeah, it's like you just got a little secret, or the world doesn't understand. Maybe it's what it's like being left-handed or something. You know, just most of the world doesn't really understand you, and then you meet someone else. I think I said it the other day. It's like when my whippet sees another whippet, he's like, you understand me. It's amazing.
Sorry, what's your community thing you set up, though? Because you've actually gone into bricks and mortar, haven't you?
Yeah, it's weird. I think it's that thing, as you said earlier, a bit like getting carried along with things, right? So we moved up to Crewe just before lockdown. And when we came out of it, I think after a while, I stuck my head up and got involved in a cultural forum. I just wanted to see what the cultural scene was, because Crewe's a town that made railways. And I found out the other day, right, the railway line came to where Crewe is now in 1837. And then in 1840 something, they decided to start making trains in Crewe. And by 1870 something, 40,000 people lived here. Because the whole thing, it was just like this industrial town where at the turn of the century and stuff, they could make a train from scratch in 25 hours, but they like melted their own metal. So all of this stuff, all of the town was to do with making trains and making railway lines and all those sorts of things. So that was its sole purpose. And for some reason, they never had an art gallery. I went to Wolverhampton the other day, and their art gallery is like 130 years old, and it was founded by some rich businessmen, because that's what a lot of these were done at the time, I think. You know, particularly the further up north you go with all the textiles industry and stuff like that. Benevolent people spending their money, but for some reason Crewe was always denied that. So I went to this cultural forum and I was like, we've got a theatre, and there's a few little bits and pieces. And then I just got talking to someone from the council, and she was like, something needs to be done. And so for reasons I don't entirely understand, I set up a community interest company, just me, and then had Mary as one of the other directors. And then I was like, I've got that thing, I don't really know what to do with it. But then I got connected with someone called Nova, who she was doing some other community activity in the same sort of space. We got talking. She became a director of the company, and we applied for some funding to run a series of events that were going to be called Crewe Makes. It was meant to be 10 events. And it was just going to be like a maker fest. So seeing what was out there and seeing how we can celebrate making, with the idea of doing some in the October half term and the following in the February half term, which would have been February 2025. Part of that remit, so we got that funding, and that was really cool. It's like, oh my God, I got some money to go and do some things. And it's like, that's just actually like having one of these hobbies, but this time it's paid me some money. I was like, what is this? I don't really understand. Because I think at the time as well, I'd been making the magazine, but that I only ever paid myself like £1,000 a month. It was just really like poor wages. And Mary was kind enough to like bankroll me at the time of doing that. But I think I'd also then gone and got myself an actual job, because the stress of not making enough money was just ruining me. So I got another job. So I had a job doing IT training, had the magazine, started doing this thing. And as part of that, and apologies to anyone who said this before, but sorry, as part of that, we got the opportunity to take over an empty shop. And the company that had the market shopping centre, they gave it to us for a peppercorn rent. And it literally said that on the lease as well. It was like, we just got it for free. And within 7 days of getting the building, we opened up what we called the Crewe Makes art space, which was basically just a community-led art space. We put a painting exhibition up. And we had that for a year. And it was great, because over that time, we worked with that charity that I said, the one that works with young people out of education. We had 3 different artist exhibitions. We had college students doing their end of year showing there, and we worked with this learning partnership, the 270 pieces by all the different schools. We did all that stuff. And what was cool for me was that loads of the stuff I'd done, like as Mr. X Stitch, so like doing the knitting and stitching show exhibitions or any of those sorts of things, you know, I'd got plenty of experience, it turned out, of putting stuff on walls and being able to curate things quite nicely. So we kind of did that. And then all the while in the centre of Crewe, there's this building that was the Burtons and Dorothy Perkins building, and it was right in the centre of town, built in 1933. But since 2021, when the Arcady Group went into administration, it had just been empty, it had just been boarded up. And I remember I managed to get to look at it about 18 months ago or something like that. And just, I walked in there, and because it was like a 2-floor department store, it was just like, it's brilliant, like brilliant space. You could just see it as a gallery immediately. And somehow, and I know how, I still can't quite believe how, we managed to convince someone to buy it at auction. He bought it at auction. We took out a 10-year lease on it, and then we moved in there last September. And then we opened the ground floor as a better version of the community art space in the November, just at the end of November. And so the gallery is called Platform. And we've got loads of other space, because there's 2 floors. The upstairs needs so much doing. Like, we need about £80,000 so we can replace the aircon, which is fundamentally broken, the lights, which are hopelessly inefficient. We need to change the electric supply. We need to repair the floor. And then every single space kind of needs development. But at the same time, it's just epic, because it's just like, we've now got this gallery in the centre of town, and we're committed to seeking out local talent and presenting that stuff. So at the moment, we've got Crewe Photographic Society. We've got an exhibition on the ground floor, which is the biggest exhibition they've had in like 10, 15 years anyway, because Crewe never had an art gallery. Then next, we've got a painting exhibition by a lady called Sanal Mohammed, who's a Kurdistani painter. And she came in and showed us her work, I don't know, 9-10 months ago. And she'd done this painting of a woman watering some vines. And Kurdistan is like Iran, Iraq, that kind of area. And so it's just this lovely vignette into what life was like there. And I said to her, I was like, I absolutely love that. Can you do some more of those? Because I think it would be great just to see. Because other things she'd done was like paintings of beaches and horses and stuff like that, which is kind of fine. But I was like, that's really interesting what you've done there. She's done 19 of these now. She took the thing and absolutely run with it. So we're having a solo show of her work next. And that gives us an opportunity to have an event that celebrates the Kurdistani community, like this New Year event. So we've got that. Then we've got the HND and the BTEC kids coming in from the college again for their end of year show, but with more space. Then we've got the schools coming in again, but with more space. And then we're going to try and do an open call for artists. And we just keep like shaking the tree and just trying to say, look, there's this creative space now. So come and find out what we can do, all the while trying to fundraise and project manage and all those sorts of things. And that's like, it's just gone. And that's what basically my job is now. And then somehow I shoehorn in a blog, and thank God Selena's running the Instagram, and I'm doing the podcast, and it's just like just trying to squeeze all this stuff in. But it's mental.
So are you going to leave your textiles behind then? Or are you going to still keep doing it?
So the plan is that because we've got these 2 floors, and within the 2 floors there are these main gallery spaces, the ground floor is always going to be community focused. So seeing, what local cultures we've got, how we can celebrate local artists. We just literally yesterday got the flooring put down in the ground floor changing rooms. We've updated the flooring because they're all going to be micro galleries. So we've got 5 changing rooms, and each one's just going to be a small gallery for one artist. So we can have a bit of variety in there. But when we get upstairs done, I'm going like textile art. That's going to be my thing because it's kind of like my gallery. So we're going to do 4 exhibitions a year, and I want at least 2 of those to be textile art exhibitions in some form or another. Because I feel like, I don't know, it'd be the same as if you were doing it. You can just go, I can think of 3 people that would go really well together. Let's try and make that happen,
Yeah, it's like down here, I was talking to a gallery, because there's a lot of textile artists down here, and it'd be lovely to put things on for the local area, wouldn't it? So there's so much potential.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And the thing is with Crew in particular, it's got amazing train links, and it's just never had stuff before. So, I mean, we're talking about this idea of town of festivals, where we're going to try and have different festivals, some of which will celebrate the community. So there's already a Diwali festival. There's already a thing called Barrio Fiesta, which celebrates the Filipino community. But we want to try and do a Lunar New Year festival, do a Kurdistani festival. We're looking to see whether there's a Polish festival we can do, because these are all like really deep communities within the town. But then we also want to do a hip hop culture festival. We want to do a festival of motherhood. There's an idea I like about having a curry festival, because we've got like 5 different communities that do curry. And I'm just like, why don't we just all make them fight against each other in a sort of yummy curry kind of way? And we can do all this stuff because there's never been an arts organisation in town. So it's just like we're having these ideas, and there's little bits of infrastructure that have kind of a bit been run by the council here and a bit been run by someone there. And suddenly we're like, we'll just do it. Like there's a big screen in the outside the theatre. There's a big screen on top of some shipping containers, and I've kind of got jurisdiction over that. So it's largely been showing pictures of art and telling dad jokes. But literally last night, I've programmed half term, and half term, for the 5 days of half term, it's going to be showing Charlie Brown films because I just can. So we're just putting those on the screen, and they'll just play out to the public.
Gosh, good job I did this podcast while you've got time. Quick.
Yeah, I don't know how it all fits in, but it's that thing of just, it's just kind of gone crazy. And then, I used to, when I opened my copy of Push Stitchery and I looked at it in my house, I was living in a town called Wolverton, which is in northwest Milton Keynes. And that town was built to make railways, to make trains. And I was on the town council there and became vice chair of the town council, got on the planning committee and did all that. So then I found myself in a town that makes trains, but that doesn't make trains anymore. And I'm like, I understand this town, and I know you get this sense of loss and all those sorts of things. And there's just so many bits and pieces. Like when I lived in Wolverton, I worked in this pub and it was properly rough. So now if we have any events in the gallery and people might come in and they're a bit drunk, I'm like, hello, mate. How are you? Come and have a look at the art. Mind if I just show you back out again? And, there's all just these bits and pieces of things that I've done, which mean it's all coming together really nicely. And it's just one of those things where you're just like, I don't know, it's crazy. It's properly crazy.
Meant to be, see? That's your purpose. You thought of all those skills you've acquired.
It seems to be like that. I try not to overthink it, but at the same time, when I just realise, like talking to people, supporting us, it's the same as you, talking to other artists, and I can talk to people, like I'm going to South Cheshire College to talk to the students there. And I've talked to loads of people about the artistic journey now, so I can talk to them and I can mentor them on a kind of casual, and we can support them to believe in themselves. And people who come in off the street who've done a little bit of art, we can be like, this is amazing, and talk to them about getting past their own insecurities or trying to like find their own voice and all those sorts of things that you and I can both do because we've just had those conversations over and over.
Yeah. And we know how to do it ourselves as well, don't we? So that helps.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, it's mad, but I really do. And I think I probably will just at some point, I'll just tap you up and you can help me work it out, because I just think there's something about getting the gallery to have some renown, but then I just want it to be about as good a textile art gallery as there can be. And the only one that ever really springs to mind is like the Textile Art Centre in Brooklyn, because I remember them being always like, we're quite textile art focused, but I can't really think of too many other places that have that deliberate focus. I don't know if you've got any.
V&A.
Yeah, that's a V&A though, isn't it? And people don't automatically think about textiles there. It's kind of textile adjacent, isn't it?
Well, the William Morris Gallery does a lot of textiles, but you're right, there's not really a hub for amazing, incredible art textiles, is there?
Yeah, and we've only got a little space for now, although there's a building near the train station that's called Rail House. It used to be the headquarters of British Rail, and it's got 13 floors. And it's completely empty, and a lot of the windows are smashed in, but I'm just like, yeah, that'd look cool.
That's like your legacy. There you go.
Just need to work out how to make some money out of it all, really. But
yeah, you can sell my book in it.
yeah. We'll do just a whole one floor. I'd dig my own book out of whatever box I've got it in and sell that as well. But I mean, that's what I find weird, is just that seems to be the trajectory I've found myself on. And so I can take some solace in the fact that I haven't written a blog post in a year and a half, because just life twists and turns. I don't know what your take on all those.
I think just do what you can and, gets there in the end. Gets somewhere, I don't know where, but...
Do you think that the site, will open up other things for you? Is that something you would like to see?
That'd be great. I love curating. I'd love to curate at different galleries, because there's so much within the textile world as well. You can do certain techniques or themes, or, there's so much you can do.
It'd be interesting. Do you know, I don't know, have you ever spoken to Kirsty MacLeod, like the red dress embroidery?
No.
So I interviewed her on the podcast. You should talk to her, because she's got this interesting thing. She's got this red dress embroidery project, which is like 380 stitches and all that. But then she's moved that to different places of the world that have a bit of a textile leaning, because it's a very specific project. And you almost think like the places that she's been, she might not. Like, I could see you as being a kind of freelance textile curator.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, just to help. Yeah. And I know a lot of the artists, because a lot of the artists, you have to build up trust with them as well, don't you? So... yeah, that's my aim. I think I'd love to just be a curator who goes around to galleries and puts on
phoned in and they go, let's do a textile show. They're like, call Helen Adams. Helen, have you got Mr. Cross-Stitch's number?
Yeah. That's what they say. We'll have to wait.
Yeah, right. I'm going to ask you some tough questions now, I think, because we've talked about all the fun stuff. Have you got a favourite book that you haven't written?
No, because... I don't have time to really have a favourite, because I'm a bit obsessed with 1001 books to read before I die.
Okay.
So I bought this when I was living in Australia, because when you move to a new country, it takes a while to find like your proper job and your friends, and everyone's at work anyway. So 1001 books, it's like a history of the British novel, and I'm working my way through that. And I've spent quite a lot of time, so I can't just buy them. I have to go to the library or get them at charity shops, that type of thing. And I've only done 249. And I'm doing it quite religiously. For the last 10 years, I've been doing it religiously. I probably do about 20 to 25 a year.
Right.
So I don't really have a favourite book, because I'm too busy reading those. And you think, oh, that's good, but you don't reread it because you want to the next one you find.
So 1001 books to read before you die. And is that fiction and non-fiction, or is it just fiction?
No, it's all just fiction. So you've got your classics, and then you've got your new artists, like Kazuo Ishiguro. He's my favourite artist. And you've got Ian McEwan in there, and Zadie Smith, and it's just, you learn so much. And you've got your Jane Austens. So all those books you've heard, like War and Peace, they're in there, but then also new ones, and it's fascinating. You learn so much.
Did you do War and Peace?
Yes, it's actually really easy to read. There's a lot harder books than that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are any standout books? Any standouts for you?
Well, I like Kazuo. How do you say it? Kazuo Ishiguro. I love all that, Remains of the Day and things like that. And George Orwell. All those classics. And Edith Wharton, she's really good.
Right.
Ian Forster, Grapes of Wrath, things like that. And then I read a lot of Well, they're personal development books, aren't they? They're not really self-help, because I love yoga, so I read a lot of that sort of spiritual. Appreciate it.
Stick under that. I've got time for a bit of Eckhart Tolle or whatever.
Yeah.
You got any profound, like, not self-help's the wrong name, isn't it?
Yeah, personal development, they call it now. I think it's just meaning and finding your way and things like that. I read a great one the other day, and it was like, everything's a teaching moment. No matter how rubbish it is or how bad things are going, just sort of think, oh, what's this teaching me? And and find a little spark in life. And, you're capable of everything. You just don't overthink it. Just get on with it.
Yeah. Have you read anything by Oliver Burkeman? I must have mentioned that book about every third podcast.
Did you do the 800 hours?
He did a book called 4,000 Weeks.
That's the one.
It's similar. 800 Hours, I think, is the guinea pig version.
I was a bit disappointed with that, to be honest.
But then his newer one called Meditation for Mortals is kind of better than that. That's the one that I read. And I haven't really read 4,000 Weeks because Meditation for Mortals kind of works off the back of that or whatever. But I've taken a lot of solace from that book because it just kind of gives you permission to be like, well, I did my best.
Yeah.
Because it's that thing of like, you can't do everything.
There's a great one about a guy in Sweden who gave it all up and became a monk. I should have written this down, but and you just pick up lovely little phrases and things, and
I read Catcher in the Rye recently. I'm trying to every now and again. I'm trying to read because I am fairly poorly educated in that respect. I did English Lit A level, and we did like wide tag SOC and stuff, but it was just like it was the wrong subject at the wrong time. But Catcher in the Rye was interesting. I had to go back and understand why that was important. Like, because some of these books you read them, or like sometimes when you see art and you're like, it's a bit pants, but then you go, oh, it was the first time they ever did that. And so therefore it's better. Like Catcher in the Rye, the guy is a real, like, have you read it?
Yeah.
So the lead character is just a real dweeb, isn't he? And a bit of a loser and a bit of got a self-destruction thing. And you're like, he's not particularly likable. But then you realise that was kind of one of the first times a character like that had ever been written about. And that's why it's so profound.
That's the thing about 1001 books. You see, you read the book and then it's got a page on why that's books in the 1001 book. So you get most of it, but there's normally a little gem that you might have missed. Oh, that's why it's in the book. Like you said, oh, that's the first time it was written in an autobiographical style. Or
yeah. I needed to go back and do that because otherwise I was like, why is this book so good? But it's nice to read the classics because you're like, that's why it's classic, isn't it?
Yeah. And then the modern classics and how the novel's changing and things like that.
We're going on holiday in 2 weeks. It's been quite stressful actually because Annie's passport, we had her passport done when she was like 3 and now she's 6. You have to get a new passport. And we literally we go in 10 days time. And I got confirmation today that the passport was being printed. But up until that point, it's just been like very stressful.
Hasn't arrived yet. Don't want to stress you out.
No, we've got 10 days. You've got 10 days and I paid a bit extra for it. I'm feeling okay about it. But I've got the new Richard Osman Thursday Murder Club book as my holiday read.
Yeah.
And then failing that, I've got, is it Love in a Time of Cholera?
Oh, see, that's in my 1001.
Yeah, I figured it would be. Is it Gabriel Garcia Marquez? Or whatever?
Yeah.
Because I read 100 Years of Solitude. Have you read that?
Yes, brilliant. Yeah.
I found that was a slog. It took me a slog to get through it. But after when I got to like the final third, I was like, oh, actually, I'm going to miss this. Because it's
that's the thing with some of these books, 100 pages, like, oh my gosh. And then all of a sudden you don't realise you're actually enjoying it.
And I really loved his work because it was just weird. I remember there's one bit in that book where this lady's having a rant and he does one sentence and the sentence is like a page and a half long or something. And I was just like, that's fantastic. Any of that sort of stuff, when it's like just like, oh, he does this bit where some blood flows from somewhere and he just goes on this really long description about all these streets that it kind of flows around and comes back again, and it's so absurd that it's just really refreshing. Kind of love that sort of stuff. Is there a book you think I should read?
Well, no, from that I learned a really useful thing in life. It's like, if you lose something, don't look for it because it's just because you've put it down absentmindedly and it turns up. So unless it's like keys or something, if I think, oh God, I don't know where that is, literally within 24 hours you see it because it's on a random shelf or something, but you haven't spent hours looking for it.
You've got children, haven't you?
Yeah.
Does that still hold true in that respect? Because I'm buggered if I can find half the stuff that my kids get.
Well, they're a bit younger, that's different. You need things. Yours are younger.
It's like a chaos layer underneath all of it, isn't it? But I like the philosophy that you're espousing there. That's good. What about music then?
Oh, I like loads of different music. Yeah, I love Moby and things like that. But you did ask me about my album. So it would have to be Black Crowes, Southern Harmony and Musical Companion.
Yes. And we've talked about this on a DM before, haven't we? Yes. We have.
Black Crowes is a bit like Textiles. Not everyone knows about them, but those who do and like them really like them.
Yeah. I went to see them live, Cambridge Corn Exchange. Jesus, that was like when their first album was out or something. And they were like cool. And Chris Robinson's definitely like become Chris Robinson, sort of, hasn't he? Do you know what I mean? That, like, you see them now and they're just, because they had a new album out. Was it Happiness Bastards was a new album?
Yeah, it's really good. And they've got a new one at the end of March.
Did you listen to the Chris Robinson Brotherhood as well?
A little bit. I thought it because they tend to tour every few years, don't they? So when I always go to the tour and then I get back into them. They're bands I sort of forget about but always love. So I think I skipped the Chris Robinson bit because I didn't see them live.
His was a bit. I've got one of the albums and I do quite like them. They're definitely a bit more like listening to poetry in music. Like Black Crowes is always a bit like bluesy, rocky kind of Americana, isn't it?
Yeah.
Chris Robinson is a bit more like trippy than that, I think, or something. Oh, and also annoyingly, I've got it on vinyl and you have to put it at a different speed, which is always an extra layer of engineering. I can't be bothered. So you're just like, he's just singing really slowly.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Have you got, so is that's your favourite Southern Harmony and Musical Companion, Remedy, Sting Me, all of those?
Yeah. But then the first album, though, they've got, Hard to Handle and She Talks to Angels.
She Talks to Angels. We used to have a band when I was a kid, me, my mate Lloyd, and this other kid called Ross, who actually had guitar skills. And I think She Talks to Angels was one of the songs that we learned or something. It was good. It's very poignant. What about was it Three Snakes?
And a Charm.
Yeah, that one. That's an album that sticks in my head a lot. There's quite a few like earworms in that one, I find.
I found with all their albums, there's a few brilliant tracks, but not necessarily the whole album. So
yeah. They're one of those bands, like you say, I've got most of their albums. And weirdly, for a while, Lenny Kravitz was another person who I had most of their albums from. Like Lenny Kravitz?
Yeah. Not as much, but...
Do you listen to music much?
All the time. Yeah, or the radio. Yeah, I don't watch much TV. Always got music on. And I love live bands. Living overseas, that's one thing you don't always appreciate in the UK. The live music scene is incredible. If any band is touring, you can generally see them. And I used to live I'm from Durham. So Newcastle is like a mecca for bands. So many venues and everyone plays there. And my friends up there hardly ever go. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we don't realise how good we've got it with the music scene, I think.
Yeah.
And that sound. I was telling someone the other day, I went to see Iron Maiden and Anthrax at Wembley Arena because this was the thing actually, Black Crowes, not as heavy metal as a lot of the other stuff I was listening to at the time because I was sort of like Poison and Metallica and all that. All right?
Sorry, my husband's headphones locked in there, but they've locked out again now. What was that? Maiden.
Yeah, I went to see Iron Maiden and Anthrax and couldn't hear properly for 3 days afterwards. I was telling someone about that the other day. I think that's why I've had tinnitus my whole life, to be honest.
I bought those I'm getting old. I bought those little ear protectors because I love being at the front. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
We went to Latitude Festival with the girls in the summer of last year, which was meant to be a good idea, but turned out to be a bad idea because it's very different when you take a 6 and an 8-year-old who just want to buy all the shit. And I remember there was Basement Jaxx played and Fatboy Slim did a DJ set and I was really excited about that. And at the time when Praise You was being played, which should have been like one of the high spots of the whole thing, I was just standing outside the toilets waiting for Annie to finish having a poo. I was just like, this is brilliant. That's how they make the memories. Right. Films or TV? Do you have a favourite film? I can't remember whether I asked you about a film or a TV show, but let's just go down there anyway.
I don't really watch. I'm not, there's an age in life when you rewatch films over and over. So this is almost embarrassing, but I think my favourite film for watching over and over is St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh, okay.
Rat Pack film, Bob Lowe and Demi Moore and that whole Dirty Dancing thing. That was an era I watched. Club? No, I'm not so keen on that. I think I was so into St. Elmo's Fire. I don't think much sort of,
How do you feel about The Lost Boys?
Yep, good. But I can't, the soundtrack's good for that. I've got the album. The soundtrack's
great for that. I had that on cassette. I listened to that a lot. I think we've got very similar music with that. Yeah, we were going to watch The Breakfast Club the other day. There was another film that we watched When Harry Met Sally for the first time in ages. That was quite rewarding as well. So, yeah, I can't be bothered to watch telly now. It's really weird. Like, if I I've got telly that I sort of download and I think I should watch that, but it never comes around to it. I'm more than likely to watch an episode of Bluey than I am to watch anything else now.
Did you not watch Landman? Landman's good.
Is it?
That was brilliant.
Right. No, I haven't. What did we just watched Blue Lights, the BBC thing about the cops in Belfast.
I'm not really into thrillers. That's half the TV going for me.
This one's weird. It was a lot better than I expected. Just you care about the characters and stuff. There's a weird thing in this, right? Bear with me. We just watched the last series and the director of a lot of those shows was Angela Griffin. And Angela Griffin used to be in Coronation Street. And Angela Griffin also presents this like wind down show on Radio 2 on Sunday evenings where she plays this mellow music, right? So she does that. And then she also just did this, like, directed this thing where, I don't know, gangland criminals are getting shot in the head and all this sort of stuff. And it was just like, it's such a contrast. You're like, I really admire the breadth of her career right now for having these two things. That was quite impressive, really. So, okay. Is there an interesting fact that not a lot of people know about Helen Adams?
I taught art to refugees. I taught art to Myanmar refugees for 2 years when I lived in Malaysia.
Okay.
That was really rewarding. Yeah, slightly random. It's one of those things you sort of end up in a situation where they need an art teacher. And I was like, yeah, go on, let's do it for a term.
Right.
And it was really, I learned a lot and there's such lovely people. And one of them, one family got relocated to America and he's gone on to get a scholarship to do art at uni and stuff. So that was really nice.
That's cool.
They always say, don't they, you understand more if you teach it. So,
What kind of stuff were you teaching? Was it just?
Well, I did all ages. What were they? Sort of between, they were sort of about 10 up to 18. So a lot of it was, perspective, colour mixing, all sorts. Yeah.
Is that quite daunting, or was it stuff you were familiar with because of you having studied it in the past?
It was quite daunting because it was a 2-hour session. So you have to keep, and people are different levels. Some finish really quickly, some take ages. So you had to really plan the lesson. And then I found it much better if I did the example myself. So it became quite an intense thing. Yeah, I learned a lot. Yeah, the more practical.
Because I've taught plenty of cross-stitch workshops, but I guess you don't have that same kind of. It's not like people go, oh, and Helen also teaches so and so and such, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not like everyone wanted to be there for art either, So you're going in trying to get everyone motivated, and it was really good.
That's impressive. Helen, thanks for having the NeedleXChange in there.
Thank you. It was brilliant.
Hello, Jamie here. If you've made it this far, you are exactly the kind of listener that needs to know about our Patreon scheme. If you want to help keep NeedleXChange going and get more from it, you can join as a member. With our Backstage Pass level, you get the ad-free private RSS feed, and you get that warm, fuzzy feeling of knowing that you're helping NeedleXChange remain free so that other people can enjoy it. In our Green Room layer, you get all of that, plus a weekly 10 to 12 minute after show. Oh yeah, bonus content. And you can submit questions to our forthcoming Q&A episodes. And if you want to go all the way, our executive producer, Leia, adds a quarterly patron-only group show. Imagine 4 different machine embroidery artists talking with each other about the medium they love. Oh yes, we can make that happen. You also get your name on the producer wall. Just head to patreon.com/xstitch or tap the link in the show notes. Your support will keep NeedleXChange going and make it so that we can really celebrate this medium that we love. Thank you for helping. I'll see you soon.